joking too, sipping and roasting. Yeah, that's what we do. Set 'em up, knock 'em down, make that cherry glow. Whiskey and cigars, the gentleman's cologne.
Cheers, y'all.
Well.
Now that's the beginning of a party, ladies and gentlemen.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this fine radio program, podcast, and video extravaganza known internationally
Hi, Mom.
as the world-famous Smokin' and Toastin'. Our program is all about craft beer, fine spirits, and hand-rolled cigars, and we are up to show number 370. That's 370.
No, I was marking down the math on that, and that brings us exactly halfway to 400.
Good to know. Thank you for doing that.
That's not how that works.
It's quantum math.
I appreciate it. It's what did George Bush call
You
it?
think you're all
Fuzzy
smart
math.
because you can read?
Fuzzy math.
Math isn't reading, buddy.
Smokin' and Toastin' comes to you from the fourth largest city in the United States of America, Houston, Texas. We are also one of
It's
the
real big.
fastest growing cities in the United States. And yet, even though all of that is true, and even though Houston is a wonderful cultural melting pot with
Oh, man,
so many
if you
different...
are a foodie...
Yeah, if you're a foodie, this is a great city for you. And we have great breweries and distilleries that call Houston home. And yet, we are often overlooked when people think about breweries and distilleries and things like that in Texas. Often Austin gets a lot of attention. And I'm not saying that Austin doesn't have some very good breweries in it. They do. But generally speaking, if the national press or the statewide press decides to venture from Austin, they generally go to Dallas for some reason. I don't know if it's the Dallas Cowboys. I have no idea why, but Dallas seems to be number two. And yet, I've spent a lot of time in Dallas. I've spent a lot of time in Austin. I will take Houston's brewing scene over either of those two cities, and not just because I live here. So that's why it is with great local pride that I introduced today's guest, who has been on the program before. He's a friend of the show. But not only that, his brewery, True Anomaly Brewing, has been named for the second consecutive year the best brewery in Texas, or the brewery of the year. True Anomaly, congratulations, Michael Duckworth.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me on.
That's huge because not only are you obviously competing with all the other Houston brewers and you know all the other brewers in Texas, but you're also competing against that sort of Austin bias. That,
a little
that
vibe. You know,
creeps in.
we gotta bring Houston some love, and obviously we've been very proud to do that. Last year, this year, obviously years before that, brewing beer as well. But you know, giving Houston a little clout, I think,
it's quite an honor. I'd say
it's very nice.
Honor.
Yeah.
So we are thrilled to have you. I know you brought some goodies. I took a peek at some of them before the show started. I'm very excited to get to some of the things that you have brought that we will be tasting on the program today.
Excellent.
So it's going to be exciting. And Ian, you brought along today's spirit, which I understand is a 10-year bottled and bond bourbon from Henry McKenna.
Yes.
And
I'm looking forward to that. I have not opened this yet.
I was going to say I'm sensing
it's so
OSHA violations all
So
over the
beautiful.
place.
Yeah, I'll do the opening on this, so you don't have to worry about getting cut by the foil or any
And
spillage from
that
not clearing the neck.
That little thing that loops over the top, that can be very dangerous to a person's fingers.
Yes, that's okay. I have tools to get past these kind of things.
It's good. It's good to know. We look forward to that, and we look forward to also talking on today's show about the 30 best bourbons for 2024, brand new list that has been released.
I like bourbon.
And we will talk about that, and we will debate that, and we'll enjoy doing all of that. Beers, as I said, from True Anomaly Brewing, so that already makes the show awesome.
Yes.
And then we'll look forward to also our running feature here, our running feature on the program, which has become popular beyond, I don't know, any reasonable reason, and that is that is drinking news. And we do have our drinking news teaser headline for you today. It is TMZ meets Showgirls meets Game of Thrones.
I have no idea what that means.
No,
And when you find out, you'll still be just as lost.
Just as mystified.
Yep. So Michael Duckworth is here. We've got some cigars to watch for to tell you about a list from experts who picked the best cigar cutters. So we'll try to get to that a little bit later here on the program. And so many things going on, including what we used to call it the mystery beverage.
Beverage of mystery.
It is now called the beverage of mystery. And today's has been brought in.
Short.
Today's has been brought in by Ian. And the thing about the beverage of mystery is that only the person who brought it in knows what it is. So the rest of us are doing this totally blind taste test, totally sight unseen.
Didn't smell like what I thought it was going to smell like.
What on earth did you think it was going to smell like?
I don't know, but it's got kind of a butterscotch to it.
Every time Ian brings in the beverage of mystery, I prepare to be assaulted with some Malort-like substance. And
molasses.
And if you think that that's unfair, please understand he has totally earned that lack of trust.
Come on, man. I only malorted you twice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fool me once, shame on me.
I'm going to point out
again.
that our guest has now taken more than one sip.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I didn't know the rules. We just were drinking.
No. You're more than welcome to. I'm just saying that obviously it's not bad.
Well, Terry is right. It has it has a bit of a butterscotch on the nose, a little bit of. I mean, I'm cheating a little bit here because I know you. I don't know what this is, but I know you, and I'm guessing this is a barley wine.
Have you tried it yet?
I haven't tasted it yet. That's just from the nose.
Wait till you try it, sir.
Wow.
It's different than what you're thinking it is.
It is. It doesn't have that thicker mouthfeel that I'm used to with barley wine, but the flavors are very barley wine-ish.
Can be ish. Are you ready for the reveal? You want to take any guesses?
Any other style, anything?
Yeah.
Let's see.
Michael, anything?
I get a little molasses.
Yeah.
You get clearly it's thick. It's got to be what, 14%.
Can I give you a
higher
hint? There's some orange peel.
Oh.
Go retro hell with that. You'll pick it up.
Yeah. I still don't know what it is, though. Ready for the reveal? It is
old-fashioned inspired.
Guinness.
Wow.
Old-fashioned inspired ale.
Wow.
That is a Guinness product.
Yes.
What's the ABV on this thing?
A lot.
A lot.
10.8.
Yeah.
10.8. Come on.
Yeah,
We've seen better.
So that's like
it's freaking
that's
delicious.
still like several Guinnesses. Or is it Guinea? I don't know. What is the plural?
No, I think that gets racist.
I think that does.
A little close.
Yeah.
Ale aged in Kentucky bourbon barrels with orange and cherry.
Well, you can definitely get the bourbon barrel aging to it, but
oddly enough, it is a bit barley wine-like.
It does remind me of a barley wine,
and it's freaking delicious.
And this is something available, obviously, retail. You bought this at a.
We were at Specs the other night, and my wife saw it, and she goes, "Oh, we have to try that." And I was like, "Well, we have to save one."
Well, just buy a case then.
This is a wonderful beverage of mystery.
Beverage of mystery.
Yeah, no, this is a good one, and so.
Thanks for not screwing me over, Ian.
With every good one that you bring in, you tick one step closer.
I've only brought 2 bad ones in.
To credibility. Yeah, I know, but they were really bad.
It's amazing how many good ones you have to bring in to still redeem
like you only remember the bad
of that.
You only remember and in my defense, the 2 bad ones were the same thing. You fell for it twice.
Yeah.
Well, you fell. It's your fault.
See how I gaslighted him?
I was malorted. I was malorted twice. It's embarrassing.
Oh, man.
It's embarrassing.
It's your own personal rickroll that he's got going for you.
What are you going to do? Oh, my gosh.
We'll bring in some wort next time.
Well, Ian, I am assuming that in addition to tracking down this fine beverage, you also might have had the opportunity to smoke something interesting this week. Would that be right?
It's funny you should ask.
Yeah, I generally do.
I finally caught up with something I said I was going to do weeks back when you did a review on the Room 101 farce.
Mm-hmm. That's been quite a while back that I did the farce.
That's like a month ago.
Yeah.
Something like that. But that's only 4 episodes,
Okay.
So it hasn't been that. Has it been long? Maybe. I don't know. I just remembered that I had to do this. Anyway, I didn't put down what the wrapper, binder, and filler was because my internet was not working. What is it about cigar shops? When you walk in, it's like a black hole of internet and radio service.
Was like the first show in January, by the way.
Okay, a
than I
month,
did the farce.
3,
So, yeah,
whatever.
So you're right. I'm just confirming. I'm confirming. What were you saying about the black hole of internet?
It's anytime you walk into a cigar shop, like it doesn't matter. You could be sitting outside of a cigar shop. It's like a black hole of internet and radio silence there. Anyway, the appearance on this medium brown wrapper, oily and smooth, very firm feel, has 2 bands on it. It has the farce band underneath the Room 101 band, and then the pre-light sniff on this rich earth and candy sweetness, dark fruit and fermented tobacco. I used a V cut on this.
I need a good V cutter.
We were talking about accessories the other night. I bought a V cutter. Hold on. Look how cool this thing is.
I'm really interested to see it because I'm really in the market for one.
It's part of a lighter.
Ooh.
You just go, boop.
See, you're into that multi-purpose.
I like having that all-in-one thing.
Multi-tool.
Yeah, multi-tool.
So yes, part of my Lotus lighter has a V cutter built in. They also had another one that had just a regular cutter in it, but I went for the V cut. Anyway, so I used a V cut. Had a medium draw, sweet, creamy, taffy, dark fruit, and rich earth is what I got right off of the pre-light sniff on this. The initial light Nicaraguan pepper hug. It was not really a blast. It was a hug.
A hug is all right, yeah.
Yes. Followed by nutty and campfire notes. Retrohale's black pepper with a touch of sweetness. The first third of the sweet and fruity notes lead the charge, backed by massive black pepper and cedar notes. Retrohale's peppery and cedar with a touch of sweetness. Solid ash, good burn. The second third of this comes in. Pepper settles into a spicy background with tons of cedar and sweet candy or sugar note. And underlying creaminess ties the spicy and sweet together. Earthy and fruity notes weave in and out. Retrohale's peppery and cedar with a touch of sweetness. Solid ash, uneven burn. It started to canoe a little bit here.
Not good.
So I touched it up. Cedar takes center stage with the last third of this with sweet and creamy notes right behind. Pepper remains consistent. The burn has evened out by this point in time. The Retrohale is peppery and cedar with a touch of sweetness. Solid ash, good burn.
Nice.
At $12.59 for the Robusto. I love the flavors in this. It was great. I give it a solid 5.
Nice.
Even having to touch it up, no problem.
Even having to touch it up and it being, over $12. That's not
This
bad.
is a very good cigar.
Awesome. Well, we'll get to my cigar for this week coming up in one of the next segments here, the next segment, most likely. And we'll also talk to you about, Ian just got this new cutter. I found this interesting article from themanual.com. Not Emmanuel, but The Manual. The 9 best cigar cutters in 2024 tested and chosen by experts. And they kind of like lay them out by style, right? So they say, if you want a capable V-style cutter, they recommend the Calibre V-Cut. And I do like Calibre's cutters. I'm not a big fan of their lighters because they go out
bad.
and the used to
the
be
mechanicals are good, but the flammables not so much.
Used to be you could just take them back to the cigar store and they'd give you a new one. Now you have to send it in and wait. So if you're looking for a remarkably straight, clean cut, they recommend the Lotus Jaws serrated cigar cutter. And I don't think I've seen one of those, so I'm going to be on the lookout.
Know that one.
On the lookout for one. If you want to save some money without sacrificing reliability, which is easy for me to say, the Palio Composite Cigar Cutter. So remember those. You can find this article, by the way, at themanual.com, and they have links to each of these cutters, so you can go and look at them and see what they're all about. So if you want to turn some heads, the St. DuPont Linea Maestra Partagas Gold Cutter, which I imagine is going to be pretty expensive.
You owe him $50 for saying that.
Yeah, and I'm going to owe him $100 now because the St. DuPont Keychain Punch cigar cutter is a stylish punch that they recommend. And then there's the Vertigo Big Kahuna cutter if you want to cut huge, like 70 to 80 ring gauge cigars. The Zycar 9mm pull-out punch if you want a reasonably priced punch cutter. And the Zycar MTX multi-tool cigar scissors, which I have those. I've given you those as a gift before. If you want extras with your cutter. And finally, the Zycar XO double guillotine cigar cutter if you want a double guillotine. Now, I'm going to mention this just because I happen to have this one with me. This, to me, is the best punch cutter on the the market. And this one's a little faded, and Ian has actually sharpened this one for me because I use it so much. I got it a little bit dull, but it unscrews on both sides, and you have a larger hole punch there.
Oh, yeah, doubles.
Yeah, see, that's what I'm talking about.
I was jealous on yours, and you got me one.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So we recommend this one pretty highly. And we're going to take a break. More recommendations coming up for you. And excitedly, some beers from True Anomaly Brewing.
Beer.
Award-winning brewery in Texas. We'll be right back. Welcome back. It's Smoking and Toasting, our program all about craft beer, fine spirits, and hand-rolled cigars. We're on show number 370, and I only say this because I know it pisses one guy off. No one has stepped in to stop us.
No one has stopped us.
Yeah, I just know it makes that guy mad.
Unbeatable.
And I bet he's still listening all these episodes later, just to see if we
I think you read that within the first 50 episodes.
I think it was. It was very early on. Yeah.
I've never read a review of our show.
He said one thing I didn't agree with. Well, that was the only one I read. I read that and I was like, I'm not reading anymore. Yeah. But he said one thing I agree with and one thing I disagree with. The thing I disagree with was that, the whole thing about nobody's tried to stop us. Well, that's true. No one has tried to stop us. I'm pretty sure that if they had, we wouldn't be here anymore.
Right.
But the thing he said that I agree with was when he described how we would have on Chris Hart and Alan Denny, and he said, nobody cares about those guys. I agree with him there. I agree with him. I smoked something pretty interesting this week. I smoked the Grey Cliff West Hill Street Torpedo. Now, I don't smoke Grey Cliff cigars very often for the same reason I don't smoke Opus X very often. Usually they're pretty good, but they also seem to usually be a little overpriced. So, but I got one of these in a sampler recently, and so I thought I would share the smoking experience with you guys today. The Grey Cliff West Hill Street Torpedo. Now, there's a very famous and fancy old school hotel in Nassau in the Bahamas called the Grey Cliff Inn. And it happens to be located on West Hill Street. So this is where this naming comes from. It was built in 1844. It's a small 14-room hotel that is revered by wealthy upper-crust society types who are looking for a luxurious escape. The folks at Grey Cliff Cigars took inspiration from this rather decadent vacation spot when they blended this cigar. The West Hill Street cigar uses an Ecuadorian Habano wrapper, a binder from Indonesia, and filler tobacco that's part Dominican and part Nicaraguan, and includes the Nicaraguan tobacco includes leaves from Condega and Ometepe. Now, the pre-light notes were honey and hay with a hint of leather. I lit the cigar, not completely sure what to expect. There was no initial pepper blast, and to be honest, my first reaction to the West Hill Street was that it was kind of bland. Fortunately, some notes started to come through as it warmed up. I got roasted coffee beans, sort of a creamy sweetness, and oak in the first third. And right around the second third, a peppery spiciness started to develop on the tongue, which was nice. What was not so nice was that occasionally the finish had a sort of a burnt quality to it. Sort of like when somebody leaves the coffee pot in the kitchen at work on for too long.
I call that my mom's coffee.
And there's almost no coffee left, and you get that kind of Ian's mom's coffee smell emanating from the coffee maker. It wasn't quite enough to put me completely off the cigar, but I did notice it at times in the finish. The second third did bring in some chocolate notes and more earthiness. The final third added a leather note as well. Construction was okay, but not great. The West Hill Street started out burning unevenly down one side, making the ash crooked and making me worry that it was going to drop off onto my favorite hoodie. It wouldn't be the first time. At the beginning of the second third, I lopped off the ash and corrected the burn with my lighter, and it seemed to do okay for a while, and then it eventually started up the uneven burn again around the final third. It didn't ruin it for me, but still was kind of a pain. My overall reaction to the Grey Cliff West Hill Street Torpedo? Meh. It certainly wasn't a bad cigar, and I felt like it kept trying to show me interesting flavor notes, but the occasional sense of burnt coffee on the finish seemed to keep it from ever breaking out. I kept thinking, this is fine, but I wish I was smoking an Oliva or an AJ that I really like instead. The Grey Cliff West Hill Street Torpedo is about a $10 cigar. Price to quality? 4.
No.
Yeah. Yeah. Just not. I mean, if this were a $4 or $5 cigar, I'd have been pretty happy with it, I think. But at that price, you can do so much better. All right, it is Beer 30. We're going to break into some True Anomaly Brewing beer in the next segment, and we're really excited about it. Our guest is award-winning brewer, Mr. Michael Duckworth from True Anomaly. And we'll be right back to talk about
awesome.
Our program is all about craft beer, fine spirits, and hand-rolled cigars. We've been talking a lot about cigars. Now we're going to get to the craft beer. Welcome back. It's Smoking and Toasting. You said you wanted to say something about Great Cliff.
Great Cliff is one of those companies, when they started off, I think they were very expensive cigars.
I think so, yes.
And then I used to get them a lot through Cigars International way back in the day. They used to be, they do a lot of specials on them. And there were quite a few of those. I used to, the G2 Turbo was like a go-to for me.
That's a pretty good cigar, yeah.
And recently there's been a little resurgence of them. I've seen them on Cigar Page, Cigars International, places like that. But I feel like they're kind of a throw-in now.
Well, it's interesting because this one was part of a sampler pack that I bought.
Yeah.
I don't know that I would have bought that specific one, but there were other things in the sampler pack I was excited about.
I've had a couple that I've had from the sample packs, and they're okay cigars. I kind of agree on the meh thing overall. They're okay cigars, but like at $10, no. As a throw-in, it's not a bad cigar, I think.
Well, and this should have been a better cigar, quite frankly, because of where the tobacco was sourced from.
Yeah.
You know, you had if you've got Nicaraguan tobacco in your car.
If you're sweeping it up off the factory floor, it still came from that factory.
Well, I suppose that's right. It may still be from Ometepe. It just was,
What was in the sampler that made you purchase it?
I
caught your eye.
I want to say they had a couple of Olivas that I really liked.
If it was a cigar page, they have Olivas all the time. They're so good.
And it was there was also a couple of I think there was an AJ that I hadn't tried in there, and I'm a big AJ fanboy. So every now and then I stumble across one. It's amazing. And there was also an Encore from EP Carrillo. So I was like, okay, this is a pretty good looking sampler pack. So I'll go for it. So, but I like trying sampler packs because if they have a few things that I know I'm going to like, I like trying the other things that I might not have bought, like the Great Cliff. I'm glad I tried it. And it wasn't like I said, it wasn't a bad cigar. It just, it just didn't light me up like I was hoping.
There's one that I get
there's
one that I get as a throw-in on some of those called Free Will. It's made by Drew Estate.
Yeah,
actually pretty good.
Yeah. You get some. You get some. Some of those are where I've discovered actually some of the better inexpensive cigars that I've found. Like it was one of those packs from I think Holtz that I found the Rocky Patel. One of the Mulligan series, but it's the one with the red band. It's like a $2 cigar, and it's unbelievably good. It's almost as good as a Rocky Patel Decade. So,
nice.
So that's been something I've gone back and then bought bundles of just to have. That's a good humidor stuffer, But anyway, for those of you who are not familiar with our price to quality scale, it is a 1 to 10 scale, but a 5 means you get what you paid for. So I gave that Great Cliff a 4, which means, I thought it was essentially overpriced, which is something I've always kind of thought about Great Cliffs, even the ones that I've really liked. But enough about that. Let's talk about beer. Michael Duckworth is here from True Anomaly Brewing. He's been on the show a number of times, including you were on our big 300th episode, which was great.
Patio. That was
which
awesome.
was great fun. We had that was one of those times when the show ended and then everybody just kind of hung out and kept drinking beer and smoking cigars and having a good time. So loved it. But Michael, you guys have been honored as the Texas Brewery of the Year for the second year in a row. And you really have such great beers. I've, obviously been over to the tap room since it's walking distance from my house, which is important. The walking part.
You were mentioning their Taco Tuesdays were pretty amazing.
Part.
Yeah, they had Taco Tuesdays there. They had guys making up these tacos that were amazing. And of course, when I can, walk home, that allows me to stay a little longer. If you understand what I'm saying, or not have to designate a driver. So I love coming over to your place. One of the things Ian was talking about, how you always have a number of Belgian-inspired beers on your big chalkboard there. You always have a lot of beers available, and you're now getting to where there's more and more of them released to retail. But I understand this first one that we're going to try was just released in cans for the first time?
Right, it was canned today. So
I
it's
love
not
That's
that.
as fresh as it gets. It smells amazing.
Yeah, so this is a Goza. We've done this a number of occasions in the tap room. Haven't released it out to retail previously. It's 3.5% easy drinker. Obviously, we're getting into spring and summer, so this is a fan favorite and I would say a brewer's
That
favorite.
is so crisp and delicious.
It really is. Now, it's always a mixed bag for me when you do sours. Like some of them I really like, some of them just don't. But Gozas are a different thing. These are tart, not sour.
Right.
Although it's so tart, it's almost a little sour, but in a really good way.
But this is tart like a green apple. Like it's got that snap and that clean finish. It's so good.
So it's a traditional Berliner Weiss, right? So it's a 2-day process, and we don't put any fruit in this. We do put coriander and sea salt. So
you can definitely taste the sea salt.
Right. So you're gonna get a little quench in there. It's kind of nice. It's hydrating and dehydrating at the same time.
I was such a fan. I was such a fan for so long of St. Arnold's Boiler Room, which was a Berliner Weiss, which you used to could get in a bomber for like $5.
Yeah.
It was like, not only was it good, but it was really inexpensive. It wound up being discontinued, and then they morphed it into the Raspberry AF, which I don't think they make that anymore.
No, that's gone.
But this reminds me of what I liked about that. It's just so incredibly crisp and refreshing, and you get that green apple tartness, but you can pick up on the sea salt. It's just wow.
And then coming in at 3.5, how sessionable! Like
it's about as sessionable.
That's
as
like
you
if you're
can
going to be
get.
outside grilling or something like that, that's a great way to go.
And so much better than if you were reaching for like a macro brew light. To get something like this that is lower in ABV but just has all this amazing taste. And what is the name of this, and what is the significance of the name? Because you guys always have great stories behind the names of your beers.
So this is an interesting one. This is Frederick's, and it's named after Frederick's notebook is what this is. So the style of Goza, actually for a very brief period there, brief being 100 years or so, was a style that wasn't brewed anymore. It basically, they lost the recipe, if you will. It was during it was some wartime.
It fell out of favor, I guess.
Yeah,
huh?
so it was during the Industrial Revolution and some turmoil over there in Europe, and as a result, they again kind of lost the recipe. And then this gentleman named Frederick found the recipe and started.
He was the guy that reintroduced
reinvigorated
it.
Yeah, so he reintroduced it, and that was a couple hundred years ago. And as a result, we still have this style as part of our repertoire because of Frederick, quite honestly. Who went and dug it up and started brewing again.
Well,
so
thank you to Frederick, because this is I love this style, and it's really about this time, March, April every year, that I start sort of craving these lighter beer styles, these really refreshing, thirst-quenching styles, and this is a thirst quencher for sure.
Yep, and we got a nice lower ABV lager coming up, and then we're gonna switch, flip the script on you and show you some
and
big
then
stuff.
Go to the dark side.
Yeah.
Okay,
We're
cool.
still cold somewhere, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Well, we can do it.
And you're talking to Ian, my co-host here, who will drink.
I would drink a barley wine floating down the river. I'm fine with it. I have no problems
He's
with
not
that.
kidding.
But
either.
how many of them?
I think you'd be amazed how much you can do when you're sitting down.
The correct
It's the getting up that's hard. That's
the
right.
correct answer, Ian, to that question is how long's the river?
Let me go ahead and point this out. Nobody is graceful getting in or out of an inner tube anyway. Like if you've ever watched that process,
no one's going to know, is what you're saying. Yeah. Yeah. Well, with Ian, the big thing about his inner tubing trips are he takes something with a hugely obnoxious ABV, and he takes an enormous cigar that he's still smoking by the time he reaches the place to get out of the river.
Something starting in like the 7x70 range is what I'll generally bring.
Yeah. So he wants a monstrous beer and a monstrous cigar, and that's a river float.
Start smoking in Austin and keep smoking by the time he gets to the Rio Grande. It's still going.
It's like, hey, the border's coming up. Oh well, I still got some of my cigar left, so I'll
What's funny is
trucking over here.
What's funny is when you're sitting down and chilling, that's a nice time to drink anything, really. But when you're up and moving around, like this is good. You guys literally brew one of my favorite lighter beers. I say lighter, not in the fact it's a light beer, but the Scout is one of my absolute go-to beers when I want something a little on the lighter side.
And is Scout an ongoing beer for you? Is that
So Scout's a little bit everywhere. It's probably one of our best movers, if you will. We got gold for it just this past year at GABF.
It's so good.
I'm not surprised about any of those things.
Yeah, so it's a good mover for us, and again, it's a fan favorite. I think lagers and
it's a Mexican style lager.
It is, yeah. Again, the brewers in the back, this is generally what the staff is drinking. These 3.5%, 4%. You're still got to work.
It's never stopped Ian, but I know what you're trying to say.
I mean, as a musician, you would think, well, he probably doesn't drink at all when he's working.
Yeah, that's what you would think.
When I was a club DJ, I
like the look on your faces. You guys need to watch the video for that one.
I feel like if you were in a church, maybe, yes.
There's a musical act out there that's not drinking, but
depends what church, I suppose.
Yes, exactly.
That's 100%. Yeah, I know when I was a club DJ, I was always at my best mixing beats if I was a couple of beers in. And I mean that, too.
Yeah.
Now, if I was a dozen in, not so good. But
it does.
Give me a couple, you were loosened up, you were feeling the beat. It was...
it's like pool, Nobody's great until they've had a couple. Next thing you know, and then there's that arch. And
there's that drop-off point. That's for sure. Absolutely true. Well, this is wonderful. Now, this is commercially available, right? We can find this?
Again, we just canned it today. Next week or so, you'll see it out.
Okay, so it's not out yet, but coming.
Yeah, some places.
So fresh, though. It does taste so good. That's fun to get the beer that was canned today.
Yeah.
Well, and with a style like Goza or with a lager or a Pilsner, it's even more exciting to get it fresh, because there's just something about those styles. The crispness is just a little more accentuated, I think, when it's this fresh. I bet this is great on the tap in the tap room.
Oh, it's great on the tap, and quite honestly, I mean, it's great for snacks. So, for that little sea salt in there just makes it.
Just makes you want.
It's almost a snack in itself.
Taco
you kind of come back
here
to
I
it.
Come, man.
I need that little salt in there. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Do you? I was there last time for Taco Tuesday, but do you guys always have food truck guys there doing stuff?
We rotate in and out, mainly on the weekends. We also, partner with some of the other guys in the neighborhood. We've got
you're across the street from an outrageously good pizza place.
Yeah, so Vinny's across the street, and we do a lot of business with those guys. And we got the Burger Joint Rodeo Goat catty corner from us. So we're good friends over there with all those guys.
Yeah,
we're actually bringing in a kitchen.
Rodeo Goat's pretty good. Yeah.
About 2 months, we're actually
your own kitchen.
Oh wow!
Right, I mean it's going to be paninis, charcuterie, flatbread type stuff.
Still,
but giving some food options out
good
there.
Flatbread is great with beer, man.
Yeah,
agreed.
Love it.
Agreed.
Yeah. We saw what Vinny's was doing, and we said, "Hey, we should be doing something."
How much have you guys grown in terms of your distribution in the last couple of years? Because when you win an award like this, you would think it would help open some doors in other Texas cities, for example, for you to be able to get the beer distributed and carried. Is that a thing?
Yeah, it certainly is. We've gotten our foot into the Austin market a little bit. We'll go out there a few times a year, do a big drop. We're talking to some distributors on getting outside the Houston area, but quite frankly, the Houston area is very deep well, if you will.
So you can sell a lot of beer in the Houston area, is what I'm saying.
And we've still just scratched the surface. We're 5+ years in. Obviously, we've gotten a few accolades and some recognition, which is certainly helping things out. But we still self-distribute. We're still pretty small, so at the end of the day, we're having to put in the elbow grease to get into the HEBs and Total Wine and whatever have you. So hopefully over the next year or two, we're really going to expand production, which is going to give us a better footing to be able to get more beer out there. And as our reputation has grown, it's allowed us to, get into more shelf space.
If you had to kind of put a finger on what it is about your beers that got you this award for 2 consecutive years, what do you think it is? I mean, obviously you've got good beer, but there's a lot of places with good beer. Like, what do you think made your beers exceptional enough that it put you in a position to really be able to run away with this award?
Sure. So, I think you already said quality is number one. We really, focus on education from our brewers' perspective. And I think the commitment and the fun that they're having in brewing a lot of these different styles of beers. Ian was saying earlier, we have a number of Belgians that we usually carry, saisons. We do these barrel age, long-term projects that, for a typical brew house, generally speaking, you've got 1-2 flagships, and you're just turning that beer
Right.
You know,
you're making as much of that as you can because that's where most of your revenue comes
and that
from.
job gets a little tedious, right?
Yeah,
and your
yeah.
excitement about it maybe flattens out a little bit. But for us, we've got a lot of different special projects going on that keep our brewers, excited about what we're putting out. Just like you guys, oh hey, we've never done this goes. Well, we brewed it, but now we're putting it back in. We're putting
Love
it out to retail. Yeah. They get to see more of my
you guys keep a lot of taps active up there, and then even beyond that, you have a cooler off to the side of the bar that has a lot of your more aged stuff, can and crowlers and
right, and all the bottle conditioned stuff. All
bottle
that,
conditioned, yes,
all that wood aged stuff is getting bottle conditioned. Yeah, we try to keep a healthy mix in there, and at the end of the day, ensure that again.
I had a Fooder aged saison that was in my fridge.
Nice.
I drank that I think about a month ago.
All right, we're gonna have another one today.
So good.
Yeah.
So good.
Awesome.
And it'd been sitting in there aging, just thinking about it for like a year.
Yeah.
I love it. That's what's great about it. The shelf life on it really continues more like wine. And again, we're gonna skip into this wine conversation here in a little bit too. So
all right, cool.
Yeah. Fun stuff.
Okay.
All right, there's a lot of interesting things going on at True Anomaly Brewing, and the beers are obviously something Ian and I have both been huge fans of for quite some time. And I'm always excited because the little store downstairs in my building always has 3 or 4 True Anomalies lined up in a row, and so it makes it really easy to grab one of those every now and then and just really kind of treat yourself. That's what I love to do. All right, we'll be right back. It's Smoking and Toasting. More beers to sample. Plus, at some point, we're going to get into this Henry McKenna 10-year bottled and bond bourbon that Ian has brought along with him. Plus, drinking news still to come. It's Smoking and Toasting. We'll be right back. Welcome back. It's Smoking and Toasting. Our show is all about craft beer, fine spirits, and hand-rolled cigars. Speaking of hand-rolled cigars, one to watch for, La Aurora is debuting their vintage series, the La Aurora Puro Vintage 2014. They do an annual series of releases that began 16 years ago, and this year's is a Salomon. It's 6.5-inch long figurado with a 60-inch ring gauge at the fattest point, but it's one of those that kind of slopes and tapers. Yeah, it has a suggested retail price of $26.50. Comes in boxes of 8, but it's limited to only 1,000 boxes, and it starts shipping the middle of next month. Wow. And it's really pretty. I mean, look it up online. It is absolutely
and it's 26 a piece. You said
$26.50 a piece is the suggested retail, and that's a lot for a La Aurora. They usually, I think. They top out usually around $20 at the those ones that come in the metal tubes that are tapered at both ends. You know what I'm talking about?
I'm trying to remember the name of the series. There's a gold one and a red one.
And a red one, yes, exactly. I think there's a black one too, which is
okay.
Yeah. But anyway, check that one out if you're a La Aurora fan. They have done some fabulous work on cigars in the past.
I don't know of a La Aurora cigar that I don't like.
Yeah, you're 100% right. And a lot of their cigars are Dominican tobacco, and I think they are one of the better of the Dominican oriented cigar companies that is out there. Michael Duckworth from True Anomaly Brewing, award-winning Texas brewery for 2 consecutive years, is with us, and he has brought a big bottle of something or other with you.
Yeah, this is White Dwarf.
So is this a bottle-conditioned beer?
It is, yeah. This is a saison that's been re-fermented with Gewürztraminer grapes.
Ooh, and I like Gewürztraminer wine. It's just this super crisp and thirst quenching sort of a
for those less familiar with it, it's like a
first I didn't know what any of those words were. So I was going to say I don't know what any of those words
like
were.
Like a crisp Riesling, if you will, like a more traditional German Riesling.
It's sort of like Farfignugan. You're not sure if it's a real word or if the Germans just made it up, right? But Gewürztraminer, it's a type of grape, right?
It is. It is. Okay. Right. So we did a pairing of these with the Malbec grapes as well. So we have a Red Giant, White Dwarf. And this one, White Dwarf, got gold at the Texas Craft Brewers Cup.
This is really good.
So is this a sparkling wine or a beer?
Technically, it's a beer. It's just got some grapes that we fermented.
But it's so grapey. It's like the finish on it.
Yeah, I like it.
This is one where you almost feel like when you're drinking it, you should put the pinky up. You know?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Because it seems fancy. Yes,
it makes it a little too quaffable as well.
Yeah,
you really get to it. It's like a little juicy, you know.
And speaking of quaffable, what is the ABV on this?
Not quaffable. Let me
Be
take a look at this.
careful.
7.5%.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, for
It's
wine
about like an-
standards,
about
that's
like an
half
IPA.
or whatever. A
Not
wine
like an
would be.
IPA. So
Yeah.
I love the
but-
sparkles in this. The bubbles are
Yeah.
small, and
is
they're
that,
not
am I
too
getting
much.
coriander? Is that the
So-
spice I'm getting?
So I do think there's a little taste of that in there. We didn't put any coriander in there. Just grape saison. This was foeder aged as well, so you're going to get a little bit of oak characteristic in there. But overall, it is a melding of the worlds.
It's an interesting. There's an astringentness to it that just leaves your mouth like wanting more.
The Doritos effect. Yes, it's definitely there. Yeah.
It's so good. If you like it's sour, but it's sour in such a gentle and
And I just want to say, if
delicate way.
if
too.
you're a little put off by saisons and farmhouse ales, this is a good one to try because it's got so much of that grape flavor to it that Gewürztraminer
the
grape.
funk is definitely tamed by the
Right.
grape.
On the
it's
tasting
not
notes
super
there, we
funky.
have a little lychee, little apricot, honeysuckle. I think the honeysuckle was that last
Maybe that, yeah.
little taste that you're leaving you.
It's good. It's very accessible though, as saisons go.
If you let it sit on your palate for just a minute, there's a spice underlying this too that is unexpected. Like
100%.
That's the saison. So saison always has a little peppercorn
Yeah.
kind of element to it that's gonna jazz it up. I think.
So I always think of the funky stuff when I think saison, but that spice.
farmhouse. Yeah.
Yeah.
So saison is just depending on how it's fermented, but it's always generally going to give you a little bit of a pepper characteristic.
Yeah.
That's the yeast itself, right?
Some of that good old funky stuff, as Dr. Dre used to say.
We want the funk.
Yeah. Well, this is really delicious, and this strikes me as the perfect kind of a bottle that you want to open and share. You got a couple of friends over, you want to sit down, you want to taste it, you want to talk about it.
Perfect bottle to share.
kind of like wine snobs, except it's really beer.
Right.
Yeah.
But, better and cheaper. So
Yeah.
you got that going for you.
And just every bit as delicious, if not more so. I mean, depending on what you like. I mean, I could see, I recently watched Sideways. I could see Paul Giamatti's character in Sideways enjoying this. I really could. And he was
Chewing gum?
definitely, yeah, that's great. That's like the greatest line. And when he goes, I am not drinking effing Merlot. That's great. I really enjoyed that movie. For whatever reason, I'd never seen it, like back when it came out. It was all
I haven't
the
seen
rage.
it.
It's worth watching.
It's
You
worth
would-
it.
No,
you
no.
would
After you
totally
guys
enjoy it.
just gave the whole thing away, no,
Yeah.
totally spoiled it for me.
Yeah, and in the end, he dies.
Tragically.
Yeah, it's horrible. You've heard of train tracks, right? Yeah, that's where it's going. But honestly, this is a very good beer. And just to get back to something, so many of your beers are named with space themed names, and I love that this one is White Dwarf. It just seems the name fits the flavor and the taste of the beer very, very well.
Thank you very much.
And
We
what
work
did you-
hard on these things.
What did you say the other one is?
Red Giant. So
Red
it's
Giant.
The,
Okay, so
know,
yeah,
the
you've had-
cycle of a star.
You've had those for a while, right?
Yeah, so we released those right before the holidays, and we have them in gift packs. Actually, the packaging's very nice on it. We probably only have less than a dozen of these things
Okay.
available.
So I'm just checking on my time with Terry. I don't know where we're at, but it looks like we're maybe over.
No, I lost. I thought we were on segment 4, but we're on segment 1 of the second hour, so we're good.
Oh, we are.
I think.
I thought it was segment 4. This
Oh,
is the
okay.
behind the
This is
behind the
behind the
scenes
scenes.
stuff that you.
Well,
that
how
you
about we
normally
just
do.
make this segment 1 and then we'll do segment 4 in just a moment.
Yeah,
because that would really, really confuse me.
maybe we do segment 4 back to back.
Segment 4 is the final segment for the hour that.
Nope, you're right.
yeah.
This is it. Yep, this
Yeah,
is.
okay,
Yeah.
so
we'll
are-
just let me
so are
play
we-
some music and
are
we'll
we-
wrap it up.
are we
We're
overtime
over.
here?
We're over
Oh
on this.
boy! Well,
Yeah.
that means
Yeah.
people are never going to know if this beer was good or not.
Well, they'll know for the most part because we started right into it.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll take a break and be back after we sort out this this time travel that we'll have to do to figure this out. It's Smoking and Toasting. Welcome back. It's Smoking and Toasting. Our show is all about craft beer, fine spirits, and hand-rolled cigars.
Love that.
We are into hour 2 of the show. We have drinking news coming up. Michael Duckworth is our guest from True Anomaly Brewing, a Texas Brewery of the Year award winner for 2 consecutive years, which we are
That's
excited.
awesome.
Here in Houston, we're excited when one of ours gets recognized, and
Let's
and
go
plus
Houston.
we feel a little extra like ownership, if you will, of the of the coolness of True Anomaly, because we've had Michael on the show a number of times and been to his establishment and hopefully didn't embarrass ourselves there, and just this feels like one of ours. And so
I always
it's
ask
awesome.
if he's at the brewery.
Yeah.
He's never there when I'm there, so that's when I go ahead and just get hammered and don't care.
You make a scene.
Look, he's not here. Awesome.
Yeah, and then
I want 2 of those.
and when you leave, just tell him Christopher Hart was here.
That's right.
And then you.
That's why we check the
keep
tapes
going.
the next
Yeah,
day.
it's
Tell him Cruz stop
smart
by.
of you to do. Yeah. So there are a couple of websites that we recommend highly to people who are into beers and spirits, and one of them is
Do they
liquor.com.
end with the name Hub?
Those are other websites we recommend for different reasons. But no, liquor.com is one of them. Another one that we really like is VinePair. VinePair has put out some very excellent articles. I stumbled across this one from VinePair where they talk about the 30 best bourbons for 2024. So, Ian, I thought we'd maybe run through a few of these.
That's a big list.
And see what you think. So they start with the best bourbon under $25, and they mentioned Benchmark Bonded. Any thoughts about that?
Benchmark Bond is pretty solid. When we did our bottom shelf blind taste test, Benchmark 8 and Benchmark there was another one there. I can't remember which one it was, but both of them scored pretty well on it.
They also mentioned the Early Times Bottled in Bond.
Early Times is fine.
Average price $25, rating of 88.
Old Crow, not so good. Early Times, just fine.
How about Wild Turkey 101?
Wild Turkey 101 is one of my favorite whiskeys in existence.
Average price $25 a bottle.
It's fantastic.
Yeah. Larceny Small Batch Bourbon Whiskey.
I've had it.
Seven
Okay,
Hills Entry Level Weeded Bourbon. $25 bottle again, and they rated it an 88. So that's
I like Wild Turkey better.
George Dickel Bourbon Whiskey, aged 8 years.
There's nothing wrong with George Dickel.
$33 price tag.
Nothing
And-
wrong with that. And you get the bourbon.
How about Knob Creek's 9-year-old bourbon whiskey?
Knob Creek is pretty nice. Although it's
$37 bottle.
Substantially. It's not as much more as I thought.
Okay. And then here's one I can attest to for real, because this is one I try to almost always keep a bottle of in the bar. It's Maker's Mark 46.
I just bought a bottle of that the other day.
It's just so
It's so good.
reliably good. You know what I mean? $42 is the average price for that bottle, and they rated it a 91. Then you got Town Branch True Cask Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey.
I don't know any of those words.
Not even whiskey?
No.
It's a $44 bottle, and they say for the second year running, Town Branch impressed them with its somewhat tame 54.3% ABV cask strength true cask release. They go on to actually say it's quite enjoyable. So again, check this out at VinePair. It's a very interesting article. New Riff Distilling Bottled in Bond Kentucky Straight Bourbon. I am not familiar with New Riff. Are
I
you?
guess some on my shelf.
Do you really?
Yeah, I can threaten to bring it in here if you'd like.
I always think of, what is it, the Tricky song, New Configuration, New Riff, and New Structure. Maybe I don't know what I'm talking about. Probably not.
You went tricky on us.
Yeah, I did. It's tricky.
It's actually really good. I'll bring it in for review on one of the shows.
It's tricky to rock a rhyme.
To rock around, it's right on time.
Yeah, right on time. Yeah.
Tricky.
Best bourbons under $100. They point out Shelter Distilling's Small Batch Blue Corn Bourbon. Are you familiar?
For who?
Shelter Distilling.
Don't know Shelter.
No,
Yeah,
there's that other blue corn that
they are,
everybody likes.
Yeah, Balcones mixed with blue corn.
Yeah,
Yes,
that's,
they
everybody
do,
knows
and it's
Balcones. I haven't
Quite
Yeah.
good. $50 price tag, 91 on the rating. Smooth Ambler Old Scout 7-year-old straight bourbon whiskey. It's a $51 bottle.
Don't know anything about that one.
Yeah, okay. I've seen this one at least. I have not drank it. I've seen it. I do know this one, and I would concur with it being on this list. The Four Roses Small Batch Select
The small
bourbon.
batch, real good.
That is just really good. It's a $60 bottle. They rated it a 92. Wilderness Trail High Rye bourbon bottle in
Seen
Bond.
it, haven't tried it.
Yeah, I have not had that one either. We'll have to get a bottle of that and get it on the show. It's a $53 bottle. And, of course, Woodford Reserve Double Oaked. Now, that's
so good.
just really a
So good.
great
So
bourbon.
that's my go-to.
It's
That's we always have it in.
It's a $60 bottle. We did this one on the show, I believe, Ian, I don't know, maybe middle of last year or so, the Rabbit Hole High Gold.
Yes.
I was here.
Kentucky Straight Bourbon.
I was
you were here
with
for
on
that
that
one.
show?
Yeah, we had that together.
It was really
Oh, you
good.
went home with the bottle.
I think I went
You
home with
loved
the
it.
bottle.
Yeah,
I'm
you were
pretty
like-
sure. Yeah.
Do you have any of it left? Just out of curiosity.
No, are you kidding me?
1792 full
yeah.
proof. Bottled at 62.5% ABV. It's a $60 bottle. We rated it a 91.
1792 is pretty good whiskey.
5 and 20 spirits deep water bourbon. I'm not
don't
familiar
know
with
that
this one at all. So that again,
What's
find
deep water?
find this article because you may find some things you want to seek out and try here.
It's on Vine Pair, right?
On VinePair, yes, vinepair.com. Milam and Green, very small batch 2. Now we've had some Milam and Green on the show, and I still
haven't
have
tried
some of
that
it in my
batch
bar.
2.
Yeah, I don't think it was batch 2.
Yeah, the Milam and Green was pretty nice.
That's a $70 bottle. I think the one I bought was more like a $30 or $40
Right.
bottle. Elijah Craig Barrel Proof Bourbon Batch C 923.
I don't know if it's batch C, but I got some on my shelf.
Yeah, I was like, I'm pretty sure I had that this week.
I have,
but I don't know if
yeah.
it's batch
It's
C,
so good.
293.
I have some of that left as well. Unfortunately,
The
don't-
barrel proof or the
yeah,
full proof? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, don't have any of the Eagle Rare. That's gone. We talked about that last
I got
week.
one bottle of that left.
Buzzard's Roost Sipping Whiskey Toasted American Oak Bourbon, batch number 2. I'm completely unfamiliar.
Lost on that one.
So these are ones to try.
yeah, we're
you
going to
know?
have to look at
Yeah.
this list and pick
Yeah.
some out.
Yeah, so Vine Pair. It's a $75 bottle, and they rated it a 91. Fry Ranch Distillery Farm Strength Uncut. You familiar with Fry Ranch or Fry
never heard
Ranch?
of it.
I think it's Fry is how you pronounce it. I'm going to pronounce it like Glen Fry until somebody tells me otherwise.
I might have misheard. Did you say farm strength?
It says
Arm strength.
Fry Ranch Distillery Farm Strength Uncut.
there you go.
Well, okay.
Batch 10.
I didn't even catch that.
It's enough to
Arm strength.
It's enough to take down a farmer. Is what that means. Yeah, 2 sips and the farmer's out for the night.
A little bit in the cow, and she'll be still for all the milking you need.
Doc Swenson's Whiskey Exploratory Cask Pinot.
Have heard of. Have not
Yeah,
seen.
I've had Doc Swenson's. I don't think I've had the Exploratory Cask. Barrel Bourbon's New Year 2024.
I never know what barrel bourbon I'm drinking because
Yeah.
every single bottle is different.
They
from
look
every
the same. They
single
just
other
have
bottle.
little scribbles on them that,
Yeah.
that differentiate them
And they're
somehow.
all
Although-
$92.
Although I have a barrel rum, by the way, that's like something like 136 proof or some ridiculous
yeah.
amount.
They've got some that are
It,
just
it will actually
way-
just catch on fire if you're smoking near it.
It's like,
Uneven
hey,
burn.
is
It
that,
tastes good though.
is that one of those flaming cocktails? No, I just got my cigar too close to the barrel bourbon. Booker's Bourbon Mighty Fine Batch 2023-03. I think,
Bookers.
listen, you can't go wrong with anything that says Booker's on
Yeah.
it. Honestly, it's just
Bookers.
just too good. This was the third Booker's release from 2023, and they say it is quite deserving of its Mighty Fine name. It's a $90 bottle. Old Elk Cognac Cask Finished Bourbon. I'm not familiar with this one. Are you?
Don't know that one.
All right, so they bring that one in as a $90 bottle, give it a 92. And now for the best bourbons over $100.
Oh,
Or otherwise known as A Guy Can Dream. The Blue Run Spirits Reflection 2, which has a silver butterfly embossed on the bottle. I'm not familiar. But see, I'm going to be less familiar with
right.
a lot of these over 100, right? Old Forester 1924 Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey, the newest addition to the Old Forester Whiskey Row series. It's
Trey over at the
$115.
rail yard is going to have that on the shelf.
All right, well, we need to go and visit Trey
Yeah.
very soon. Bardstown Bourbon Company Discovery Series number 11.
I haven't had that particular bottle.
Looks pretty cool, though. $140. Heaven Hill Heritage Collection 18-year-old bourbon.
Man, they've had Heaven Hill. I'm not even going to say it. They've had the bottle and bond in stock. It's free places, so
Okay.
not that one. But
Yeah. Well, this one's $300, so
It might still be there.
yeah, it might still exactly. Russell's Reserve Single Rickhouse Camp Nelson F.
Oh, have not tried that.
It's a $300 bottle as well. They rated it a 96.
I feel like I'm not even going to bother saying haven't tried that for most of these.
Are we running out of ways to name things?
I think we
Series
probably-
F,
Yeah, well-
C392,
Well, I could ask-
C3PO showed up there.
I
Like,
could
what's
ask
going
you
on?
guys this question because you always seem to come up with really creative names for all of your new beers.
Yeah, because there's plenty of them out there. So I don't know if.
So you don't
I
understand
think you
this
should just
naming.
start saying Series A, B, C. Just start doing it that way. way. Speaking of beers from True Anomaly, this is the El Comandante. Is it El Comandante or Comandante?
Comandante.
Comandante. It's a Spanish lager. So first of all, how is a Spanish lager different from a Mexican lager? Because you guys already have Scout, which we've talked about, which is fabulous.
So interestingly
It's a
enough,
little redder in color.
yeah. So this is a collaboration we did with Axiom and specifically Mike L.A., who was the crew commander for AX3. So you'll see his mug on the can there.
Yeah.
It's a very distinctive looking gentleman.
So he's the commander, you know. So it's El Comandante.
I was going to say, if he told me to do something, I think I wouldn't question it. I'd just go ahead and do it.
Yeah. And I think he's like 76, so you don't
He's
know it, but
really,
he's
wow.
yeah, he's doing great. I don't know. I've probably misjudged him.
Yeah.
He's gonna be upset about that later.
But
so
did he like fly the space shuttle or
he did, yeah. So he
Wow.
was a pilot for the shuttle program. He's been on a couple of Axiom flights. He's a retired NASA astronaut, now doing private missions, which is a new thing, right? So
So what does that mean? Like SpaceX could hire him to take a payload up to a satellite or something?
100%. Yeah.
Wow.
So
that's
Axiom
so cool.
here, local Houston company, they're working on their own space flight stuff, and they've got some missions going on, all private. And we've been working with them on a couple other projects. This is one that Mike came in. He's from Madrid. Said, hey, in Madrid and up and down Spain, they have a lager that's pretty local to the regions.
Oh, so interesting. So this really is a Spanish lager,
can
as
you,
in Spain.
Can you help me figure out how to make that? How to do that? So we did some research, looked at the hops. So this has some hops that are more local to the area, the region there, which are a little bit more floral. You'll pick that out on the taste.
It's floral. It's a little more bitter up front versus in the back of the flavor too.
Right. And otherwise, again, I think it's a 4.5% easy drinker.
yeah.
Very, very light in character.
All right, nothing wrong with this. We had this. He actually bought a can of it and brought it on the show. Ooh,
Maybe a month ago.
yeah, a while
Not much
back.
longer than that.
And we
yeah.
enjoyed it.
Mhm.
Good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's really good. Now, I would be hard pressed to choose it over Scout just because I love Scout so much.
Scout's
but this
so
is
good.
so interesting and different, even though it's in the same family. Maybe,
It is. It's definitely the same family. And what's unique is obviously we did this as an intended one-off kind of with
If you've
Axiom
ever-
and those guys, but it's really done well. It's been, it's really not pulling away from Scout, which is a Mexican style lager, and we have a Spanish
If you've
lager.
ever had any Italian beers like Peroni or some of those, it has a little more of that kind of crispiness.
Which makes sense when you think
to it,
Spain as in
yeah.
European as opposed to Mexican as in South American, right?
Right.
So it does make sense that it would have some things. It just occurred to me, you're in a really unique position with people talking about taking private citizens into space like as becoming a thing.
Yeah, my name's on the list. I'm telling you.
Well,
We're gonna make it happen.
you could like talk to some of these guys and go, I could make it worth your while in beer if I'm on the list.
I don't know how much we have to trade, but we're starting to set some aside right now.
It's, very good. Very good. I like it. All right, we got to take a break. We will be. If William Shatner can go to space, I think Michael Duckworth
You're
can
gonna
go
have to
space.
put beer.
Cheers.
You're gonna have to put beer in little squeeze things,
We'll
right?
be right back. It's Smoking and Toasting.
Dehydrate.
Welcome back. It's Smoking and Toasting. Our program is all about craft beer, fine spirits, and hand-rolled cigars. We're going to get into the fine spirits as Ian is opening up the bottle of Henry McKenna 10-year bottled and bond bourbon. And while he's pouring that, Michael, I wanted to ask you about something. I read an article recently that basically implied that craft brewers were kind of getting bored with doing hazy IPAs. And I wanted to talk to you about that because obviously you guys do, not one, but several fantastic hazies. And I just wondered, is that true? Are your brewers, are they kind of like less interested in that because it's become so ubiquitous and now they're, more interested in just doing the, the saisons and the other, sort of, more off the beaten path type things?
I would say that's probably a little more on point than
Really?
It is. Yeah.
Really,
So,
the brewers really are kind of.
I would
kind
say
of
it's
saying-
one of their less favorite.
Interesting.
I would think IPAs
beers
in
to-
general, people would be just tired of making.
Yeah, I think so. The
I'm sure
the
not tired of
proce-
drinking them though.
Yeah. The process in a hazy is there's the dry hopping, right? So
Right.
that's what gives it all that really punched up hop character. And the amount of hops that you're messing with, getting them out of solution and getting the trub out, it's just a bigger pain in the ass, quite honestly.
So
So that's generally where brewers, and again, you're turning these beers, right? So you're making mass volume because they're
The
pushing out a
trub,
little
just
bit
so
more.
you know, is what's left over after you have the mash.
So if I come to True Anomaly, and I want to make sure the brewers know how much I appreciate you guys hazies because they're so good, do I do a better job of showing that appreciation by ordering one of them? Or do I do a better job by ordering maybe something more exotic that the brewers had real fun doing? Like which one is more encouraging to
So
them?
I would order 3 of them and all the hazies,
Yeah.
just to let them know to get back to work and quit their fussing.
Suck it up, Buttercup.
That's what I'm thinking. Yeah.
I mean, we brew a lot of different things, so
Yeah, you
they're
guys are
not
very
getting pigeonholed for our
Yeah, I
thing.
know.
But I know, there are a lot of breweries that maybe put out a lot of IPAs.
Time
in
to
general.
make the donuts.
Well, if you think of something like Sierra Nevada, for years their Sierra Nevada Pale Ale, which is still a fantastic beer, that was their flagship, and it got completely eclipsed when they came out with the Hazy Little Thing. That
Hazy
became
Little
their
Thing.
best seller. So look at St. Arnold Art Car is their best seller. They started out was the Amber.
It's now their flagship,
So,
right?
it's now their flagship. So, all right, we have a fairly short segment going here, so I wanted to get to the bourbon. Ian, what can you tell us about this Henry McKenna?
Well,
Other than it's wonderful on the
aged
nose.
10 years, bottled in bond, single barrel. For those of you who don't know what bottled bond is, product of one distillation season, stored in a federally U.S. bonded warehouse under government supervision for at least 4 years, bottled at 100 proof.
Ordinarily, I kind of want the government to stay out of stuff, but in this case, I just have
No,
to
no,
say, bravo, government.
You know, it
This
was
is
put out when I
delicious.
was at the Angels Envy Distillery. The guy pointed out, he said, "Man, if you find something that's bottled in bond, it doesn't matter what shelf it's on. It's
Right.
probably good whiskey."
Yeah.
And I found that to be 100% true. But you find something like this that they go ahead and go the extra mile and do the bottled in bond on it, and Henry McKenna can sell it on his name all day long. I mean, I'll buy Henry McKenna, but this is that extra step, that bottled in bond, and this is just one of those rarer bottles. It's a little harder to find.
Well, this has a wonderfully approachable flavor palette, though. It's just like, it's really, for a bottled and bond bourbon, this is
How
very easy
sweet
to
is it
drink.
on the
It's
nose?
Very much so. And you get a little of that sweetness in the middle of the palate, too, along with some corn and some of those oaky notes that you get from a really, really good bourbon.
A little bit of spice in there too.
Mm-hmm.
This is an outrageously good whiskey. It's a little overproof, 50%. So coming in at
It's a
100
little
proof.
overproof, but it doesn't like
Nothing
smack
crazy.
you when you
Not at
drink
all.
it.
And that little spice, I think, helps out.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
this
do too.
10-year-old single barrel is one of a kind bourbon and one of the few bottled and bond products available. It says.
We're going to continue to talk about this, and I have a feeling we may have some interesting back and forth with this and Michael's final beer when we come up against that. Plus,
Smells so good.
drinking news is next, my friends. You are watching and listening to Smoking and Toasting. Welcome back. It's Smoking and Toasting. Our program's all about craft beer, fine spirits, and hand-rolled cigars. Very much enjoying both the Henry McKenna Bottled and Bond and this wonderful creation from True Anomaly. What is the word again?
Affogato.
Affogato. And can people who are in the Houston
Affogato,
area...
you forgato.
Yeah. You say affogato, I say affogata. So can people in the Houston area find this in retail?
Yeah, so we'll have it out starting, I believe, next week out at the HEB Total Wine,
And you have it at the brewery too, right?
and we have it very much.
What is this one going to hit
And we
the
have a
shelf price
very
wise?
limited supply in drafts. So if you come in the next few weeks,
Oh, you have it on draft.
we will have it in draft in the next week. Yeah, so we have literally like a
What
6
time do you guys open?
For you, Cruz?
Yeah.
So this will end up being about $15, $16 on the shelf. You'll see it across the market, both inside and then.
I love it.
It is so good. It is so worth every penny of that.
I love
This
it.
is so
Thinking
good.
about opening time at True Anomaly. The first people who are waiting to get in, they open the doors, they walk in, they see Ian and me sitting at the bar, completely hammered with glasses of this in front of us.
Of this chocolate milkshake
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
drinking.
that's right.
I've only had 4 beers.
Yeah, that's right. Honestly, this is one of the more remarkable stouts we've had on this program. And quite
It's pretty
frankly,
amazing, yeah.
quite frankly, we've had a lot of stouts on this show.
Thank you very much.
And so this is a reminder of why Texas Brewery of the Year makes so much sense for you guys, because stout isn't even your thing. You know what I mean? Like I don't think of True Anomaly as a place that necessarily specializes in these big beers, these stouts and porters and barley wines and things like that. I know Ian's been all over you guys to try and do a barley wine. You think there's a chance you will?
I'm sure there is. Yeah,
Maybe we
I
should
mean,
do,
again,
you
we
know,
always push
smoking
into
and toasting barley wine.
there we go.
Smoking
All
and
right.
toasting river floating barley wine. I'm all over it.
We can totally call it the River Floater.
The river wine.
Yeah.
Barley style.
But yeah, I like it. Well, congratulations on winning this award 2 years.
Thank you very much.
Were you surprised, honestly?
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you would think you do good stuff, right? And you put your best foot forward. And obviously, last year we were just as surprised. You know, I mean, the year before that, we came away with a couple awards, but nothing, getting to that next level, if you will. And last year, we really kind of surprised ourselves in the success that we had and the beers that we were putting out. And coming off of that, this year, we submitted what it's all based on the brews that you put in and what they win, and you get points off that. But we submitted a wide collection that we were very proud of. But it's all based on the judges, and judging is very subjective, and we try to make it objective. But at the end of the day, you can't. There's nothing's guaranteed. Nothing's for sure. And for us to come away and have that second win, surely put a little pep in the step. And for our brewers themselves, we were talking about
They
this
had
before.
to be,
yeah. I mean, they're that kind of like, good
That's
job,
awesome.
like I'm doing it, like, and
Did
whatever.
they
we
ask
were-
for raises?
Shh, what are you doing? What are you doing?
Ixnay on the raised gabay.
Put too many
it out there
ideas.
for everybody.
They didn't think about it yet.
Well, I know when we have a particularly good show, I try to make sure we send Terry home with some beers or spirits or something, just so he doesn't ask for the raise.
Yeah. What, maybe you give him this one. I don't know. We have one more in there. I feel
Okay.
like Ian was gonna fight you for it,
Yeah.
but
There may be a thumb wrestling match
Arm wrestles.
ahead of us. Seriously though, congratulations. I mean, these awards are really great. I know it's difficult to pin down exactly why you win, but there's no question that you don't win.
I'll tell
unless
you
your
exactly
beers are
why they
amazing.
win, because of this.
Yeah, but exactly.
This is amazing.
Thank you.
That's what I'm saying, because
Thank
these
you, bro.
beers
And this
are
isn't even
amazing.
all of the. How many beers do y'all make total?
we've brewed over 100 beers in the past 5 years.
Wow.
So yeah, we have about a half dozen or so that are in the market consistently, and then everything else just rotates.
And,
through.
and I'll just say, I know we have listeners and viewers from all over the world, but if you happen to be in the Houston area, come out and discover why True Anomaly is the place that won this award 2 years in a
True
row.
Anomaly is a cool place to hang. That whole area is really fun to walk around. If you're looking for a place in Houston, park somewhere near there or Uber there, and then you could just walk around. There's all kinds of great food.
Right.
True Anomaly's there.
And I will
and I'm
just say,
generally there unless Ian and crew show up.
That's true.
right. In
It's
which
amazing.
case, he's never there. I don't understand that
He's never there when I
I
tell
don't
him,
know,
hey,
who's
hey,
tipping you off? That's what I'm wondering.
He's got a back door. He sees your car pull up.
Yeah, I'm just saying. I even try like coming
Nobody can
in an Uber,
recognize
just-
my truck.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
My truck is green, by the way.
Yeah, and not just green, neon green.
Yes.
Right
see it
here
from
uh,
space.
Did you work for True Anomaly before? Is that what happened?
Since I bought my very green truck, I haven't lost it in a parking lot.
In fact, I think one of your next space-themed beers should be called "I Can See Ian's Truck from Here." Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for being a part of Smoking and Toasting number 370. Thanks to Michael Duckworth from True Anomaly Brewing. Thanks for all you do and brew, and thanks for being on the program.
Salud.
Until we meet again, my friends, with show number 371, we like to say cheers, y'all.
You never listen to what anybody else says. Such a stubborn one, I think.